Okay, well, ciao everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by Sherwin-Williams. We have a presentation from this prestigious national paint manufacturing company, and I hope you get a lot out of it today. I am Peggy West. I'm your webinar organizer, and I'm excited to know that we have approximately over 200 managers and board members on today. So thank you for that. Thank you for choosing to be on our webinar today. And I also want to mention some housekeeping things. We have all of the questions wanting, please put those into the Q&A box, okay? Those are going to be recorded along with the recording of the entire webinar today, not the chat box, only the Q&A box, okay? And if they don't get to answer them all today, they are going to send up a follow-up email answering your questions. For you managers out there, we have the CEU credit going to be offered today. The holidays are here. We got a trade show this week. So please allow to the end of the month to have it posted and check about the first week in January. I don't normally say that. I normally say 1 or 2 weeks, but with this in mind, please be patient. What I'm going to do after the class is over, I'll be sending out the recordings. I'll be sending out the sponsor sheet, which will have everyone's contact information on it, along with the slides that Sherwin-Williams is going to generously provide. Okay, so this is not a board member credit today. I want to stress that. It's not a board member credit, but it is, of course, extra knowledge that you need to help your managers and to help select the proper vendors for your painting jobs and budgeting purposes. You're going to be getting a survey directly from Sherwin-Williams, I'd say by the end of this month as well. So let's get started with our sponsor introductions. I want to welcome first Beth Rappaport. She's a Vice President of Business Development for Campbell Property Management. Beth, tell us about yourself and what is Campbell doing in the industry.
Thank you so much, and thanks for your generosity and all the hard work that you do in putting these things together. It's really appreciated. And I'm with Campbell Property Management. We manage over 500 communities in Southeast Florida, about half condos, half HOAs. And managers, if getting a new position is one of your New Year's resolutions, please keep us in mind. We're a great company and we always have lots of opportunities. We provide really personalized service to our managers as well as to our clients. We're privately held and it's just a great place to work. So please keep us in mind. And thanks again, Peggy.
Peggy, you're muted.
Sorry about that. We had a whole introduction there. For Vinteum software is going to be next on the introduction. I want to say you do an awful lot of work for us, Julia. I can't thank you enough. And I'm going to turn this over to Laura. Laura is the international rep here, sales rep. Tell us about what you do for associations.
Hi, Peggy. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura. I'm the sales executive here at Vinteum. So at Vinteum, we're a company that specializes in providing services and software for residential management, of course, associations, HOAs, property managers, everybody who is, involved into this area. We have our, most famous tool, which is Neighbors. With that, you will be able to have a residence portal. You would be having a website for your community that will be built by us. So you guys wouldn't have to worry about any of that. If you're looking for a place where to store your documents, all the paperwork you need to have visible for your residents. If you want a tool that will make communication 100 times even easier than the one you're using right now, or you've lost emails in your inbox, this is a tool that you will need. And not only we will build a website, we will make sure that we organize your portal, but we will definitely train you guys as well on how to use it. We will also train your residents. We will give you ongoing support, and we are 100% compliant to the Florida law right now. So if you're running, you're short on time on, implementing everything to your community, you can definitely definitely give us a call or send us an email. We will be sending you our information on the chat. So, yep, thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm sorry, I've got a cough here. Okay, moving on now to COA Solutions. We have the founder and owner, Daniel Baum. Daniel, tell us about yourself. What are you guys doing?
Thanks, Peggy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another webinar. Happy to have everybody aboard. Very simply, COA Solutions is an independent insurance company that specializes, or I should say brokerage, that specializes in property and casualty insurance for condominiums, HOAs, and multifamily properties. That's all we do. If you've been on these webinars before, you've heard that I like to say my job is to help you find the best possible coverage at the very least expensive price, the lowest possible premiums. And the good news is this year, we've had a lot of reductions on the property side. General liability, not quite as much. Directors and officers has gone up a little bit. Crime has gone up a little bit, but those are really small policies in comparison. The one that really is the big line item for all of us is the property and windstorm coverage, and happily, that's been coming down pretty dramatically across the board. A lot of renewals coming up for 12/31. Quite a few associations have their renewal dates set at the end of the calendar year. If you don't feel that you're being properly represented, if you don't feel somebody's really looking to make sure you're getting the lowest possible premiums, you just want another set of eyeballs, please feel free to reach out to me. It's not too late before the year ends to have another professional look at your policies and at least advise whether or not you're getting good coverage and the lowest possible price. I do that without anything to sign, no requirement to change agents or anything of the like. So if I can help, please feel free to reach out. If not, no big deal. I wish you guys the best for a happy holidays and a happy new year, and look forward to being with you on the next webinar. Thanks very much, Peggy, and we're going to have a great day.
Thank you so much. Very good. All right. I know it's a busy time, so this would be an excellent time to reach out to Daniel and just get an update for your insurance needs, which is one of the most expensive items, as you know, in your budget. Next, I want to introduce Siobhan Gonzalez. She's with United Professional Engineering. Tell us what's going on over there, Siobhan.
Hi, Peggy. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Peggy, for making it possible, and all of our other sponsors. It's going to be a great one. Yes, I am Siobhan. I'm the new business developer here at United Professional Engineering. We are a full-service structural engineering firm. We've been serving South Florida and condominiums for over 20 years. So we are licensed, experienced experts in the industry. We do all things special inspections, recertification, concrete restoration. We do reserve studies, garage, pool deck, any questions that you have. Because you are on this webinar and part of this community, you do get a complimentary consultation. So there's no project too big or too small that we can't support you with. This is what we do, and we're here to be your engineering resource. So my information will be in the chat. I look forward to seeing you all at the expo this week, and have a wonderful webinar.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, full service. All right, now I want to move over to introducing Shawnee Haas. Shawnee, she is with Munyon Contractors. Munyon, Shawnee, tell us what you do at Munyon.
Hi, everybody. I am the marketing manager here at Munyon. We are a painting company that has been in business for 75 years now. We are third generation owned and operated. We work a lot with Sherwin-Williams. We don't create our own paint. We say that they tell us the colors, we put it on. And we really love to help beautify communities, keep everything looking spick and spam and all nice. And we service all of Florida, so there's no place too far for us to go. We service both big and small jobs. And right now we are also doing free estimates for budget season. So you contact me and I'll put you in touch with one of our estimators. We come out to the property, walk you through everything, and put together a proposal for your perfect job. Thank you.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. All right, next I want to introduce Dylan Pena. He is the representative for PD Concrete, and they have a lot going on there. Dylan, tell us what you do for the company.
Thank you very much, Peggy, for the introduction and making this possible. So happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Dylan Pena. I'm the business developer for PD Concrete Specialist. We've been serving South Florida for over 21 years now. We're licensed, insured, and locally owned in the South Florida region. We have two offices with one in Aventura and one in West Palm Beach. Most importantly, though, we provide concrete restoration services, waterproofing, post-tension cable repair, and we also assist with the recertification process to ensure your condominium stays compliant with the law. Lastly, though, we do not use subcontractors. We only use our in-house team for all the repair work to ensure accountability and quality work for every step of the way. If you have any questions, I can leave my information in the chat box below. And happy holidays, everybody.
Right, very,
Thank you.
very. All right, next I want to move on and introduce Cameron Andres. He's with Best Roofing. You're showing Diana on there, but we'll in disguise there, Cameron. Tell us about yourself. What are you doing for Best Roofing?
Yeah, I know Diana and I look very similar, so it's hard to tell us apart. But I am Cameron Andres. I do business development for Best Roofing. We are a commercial roofing contractor based in Fort Lauderdale and servicing the entire Tri-County for the past 47 years. We'd be more than happy to help with anything roof related, so a roof replacement, a recovery, repairs, or preventative maintenance plan for both flat and sloped roofing. We do also offer complimentary roof audits. So if you do want to get somebody out there on the roof, check it out, give a comprehensive report so you'll know the total cost of what a re-roof might be, any repairs that need to be done, as well as the life expectancy of the current roof. We'd be more than happy to get the ball rolling there. So please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Great, great. Thank you. And thanks for joining today. And hello to Diana. How's that? Okay, the next few sponsors I'm just going to mention because they did participate, possibly inviting you to join today. They're very reputable vendors in the area, and it's budget season, so maybe you'll consider them. Their names and their contact information will be on the sponsor sheet that will go out after this webinar. So let's start with Faster.io. Faster.io is a streaming service. Bob Aleka is the vice president for the communications of the associations, so his name will be on there. We have Kaiser Air Conditioning. Kaiser is very strong in the Palm Beach County, Martin area, St. Lucie County area, and I think they have a team of about 100 different service vehicles, so very able. They are available 24/7, 365 days of the year, so very reputable if you need some help in that area. Next, I'll move down to Southwest Elevators. They are actually on all sides of the state now, moved into the West Coast area this past year up in Tampa. So Southwest Elevators, for your sources, you would contact Brooke Cavender. We also have First Citizens Bank. We have Jamie Gelfand. Jamie is a longtime banker and a former property manager. She knows both sides of the table. She'll do an excellent job for you, and she will provide the loans you need and the information you need for your association. We also have Hafer Company. Hafer is a sponsor for a long time. They have 4 offices around the state. They're known for doing excellent auditing and CPA services. Your contact there is Nicole Johnson. We also have City Quiet, Windows and Doors. Ben Friedman is the president. Ben is a longtime sponsor. He also has 4 offices around the state and very willing to meet with you and give you an estimate and talk to you about your window and door needs. We also have Velocity Services Group. Velocity is kind of a new sponsor for me, but they have been around for a long time, since 1968, primarily in Texas. They moved into Florida, I'd say about 5 years ago. When the hurricanes hit last couple of years ago, they were down in the West Coast, helping lots of folks down there. They are a large loss, and I stress that, large loss restoration firm, kind of like your Balfours, okay? Contact there will be Rick Hogan. Then lastly, I have the paving lady, Dawn Miller. She is also a sponsor, longtime sponsor. Anything to do with paving, anything resurfacing, please contact Dawn Miller off of the sponsor sheet. And I'll just mention that I do have a website called FloridaCondoVendorsForYou.com. That's FL Condo Vendors painting4you.com. That is a website connecting my sponsors and vendors to board members and CAMs for possibly new sources for products that you may need for your projects coming up. With that, I'm going to introduce the speakers and let them introduce themselves more in depth. We have Jill Negron and Jessica Dennison. They're from Sherwin-Williams. And ladies, I'm going to let you take it away and go right into the class. Thanks again.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the sponsors, and thank you, Peggy, for putting this together for us. We really appreciate the opportunity. I'm Jill Negron. As Peggy said, I've been with Sherwin-Williams 23 years this November. I've been in the HOA condo role for the last 6 years, and it's one of my favorite positions. I understand that CAMs go through a lot. As property managers, you wear several hats during the day, so I like the opportunity to see if we can make your painting needs much easier with all the other things that you go through. I cover from the Lake Worth border all the way up to Jupiter, Juneau, east and west.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Dennison. I am the HOA representative for Sherwin-Williams, covering from Boca up to Lake Worth. I've been with Sherwin-Williams for almost 10 years. I am new to the HOA position in Palm Beach, but I've worked in some other markets, as well as the residential market and the property market up in New York. And thank you so much, Peggy, for having us today, and we're very excited.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to get started. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Looks good.
All right, so we're gonna roll through this. That's our lovely flamingos there. All right, so we had posted that this is the Paint 101. It gives you a 1-hour credit course. It's the fundamentals of architectural paint and coating technology, and there's the course number. Before we get started, if anybody would like this presentation at the end of it, we're more than happy to email it to you in a PDF format. All right, and then just a little bit of housekeeping. This was created in 2016 with our Sherwin-Williams representative. This is also approved with the Architectural Board, Design and Continuing Education Councils. All right, and then the course description. So today's architectural paint and coating products do so much more than protect a substrate and provide color. Recent technological advances have produced coatings that can also solve problems for your commercial, residential, interiors, and exteriors. So a multifamily apartment, you want to consider long time, oops, okay. Consider, what are your expectations at the end, before the job even starts? What are we going to look for? What do we want in our multifamily buildings? We now have paints that have microbicidal properties to them that can help with bacteria. And then this course will also provide different paint systems beside the microbicidal that can help solve problems in your buildings. All right, and then here's our agenda today. So we'll start with the introduction to paint. Then we'll go through the specification decision tree, primers, your binders, your innovative coatings, and then some environmental considerations to take into account. All right, so introduction to paint. Paint serves 3 different functions. They protect a substrate from weather, which we know in Florida, we can have anything from rain to hurricanes to very dry conditions. We have dirt, stains from lots of traffic. We have so many people traveling in and out of Florida, a lot of people living on the beach. We get constant spray from the water, wood rot, and corrosion. It also can enhance your aesthetic. So paint can also it can color a surface, it can provide a desired sheen, and it can highlight different elements that you have on your building. And then it also can it can help reduce your odors with the advanced coating technologies that we have. It solves problems, reduces airborne formaldehyde, Formaldehydes and aldehydes are in all building materials. So if you're going through a remodel, especially in your interior clubhouses or the interior entryways of your buildings there, carpeting, drywall, everything has these chemicals in it. So there are products out there now, which we'll get to further in the presentation, that help with this. It can inhibit the growth of mold and mildew on painted surfaces and can also kill bacteria on your painted surfaces.
Alrighty, so the specification decision tree. So when it comes to repainting, there's a couple of questions we're going to ask, and we're going to go through each of these individually, whether it's interior, exterior, what the substrate is, what type of surface prep is needed, and then from there we'll have a paint system when it comes to the primer and the top coat. So for the substrate, some examples of different substrates are gypsum board, wood, concrete, CMU, ferrous metal, as well as aluminum. And then we want to know what condition it's in. Maybe it's new metal, or it's new drywall, or if it's been previously painted. Sometimes it's in rusted condition, or it's in great condition and you just want to change the color. If it's peeling, if it has a shine to it, or if it's chalking. So when you take your hand on the surface and you wipe your hand on it, if you get paint on your hand and you get that chalky film, then you would need additional surface prep. So when it comes to surface prep, you want to make sure that it's in sound condition. So the surface must be solid and not degrading in any way. All contaminants must be removed. So that's when you're going to be cleaning the surface, pressure washing, making sure you're removing any dirt or dust or anything that may be on the surface. You want to make sure it's completely dry. So once you pressure wash, you need to make sure you give yourself enough time for the surface to dry completely. And then it needs to be dull. So a lot of times when you're repainting, if there's a sheen on the walls, or maybe you're doing cabinets and it has a glossy sheen, you're going to have to sand and get the surface ready to make sure that paint will adhere properly. So when it comes to the paint system, we want to know exactly what your expectations are. So a lot of times we want the paint to be washable. We want to make sure it's durable. Maybe color and gloss retention are going to be most important, chemical resistant, and as well as corrosion protection. We also have products that are zero VOCs. So if you have anything that needs to be regulated for the building certificates, we do have those products available as well. When it comes to film thickness, this is the most important thing when you're painting. So too thin of a film may provide inadequate protection, but if you apply the paint too thick, it might not cure properly. So each paint that we sell has a data page, and on the data page, it'll show what mil thickness is needed for that product. The way that we measure that is through a mil gauge, which you see on the right-hand side. Each mil is 1/1000th of an inch, and we can measure it with this mil gauge. So when the project is going on, we come out and do site visits, and we want to make sure that the paint is being applied at the right millage.
So for instance, in the field, if you're going to be waterproofing a building, a waterproof elastomeric coating goes on much thicker than a traditional coating. So that's where these mil gauges would come in, and the specific points on the data page for that product, because they each have their own characteristics and how thick they need to be put on for the expectations of the coating. Okay. So you've got your different paint systems. Primers are the foundation of any paint system. You want to consider the surface. Are they interior, exterior? What kind of substrates are they going on? What kind of environmental exposure are we looking at? Is it by the beach? Is it by a heavily trafficked, traveled area? And then what type of top coat? Because not all primers will work with all top coats. So primers are available in several different formulations that are compatible, again, with different top coats. So the longevity of the paint product, the performance that we're looking for, several things need to be taken into account when we're recommending a system. So the role of a primer, number one is adhesion, corrosion resistance, seals the surface for a uniform gloss and top coat, stain blocking, and it could be a surface filler. So your key ingredients that go into paint and primer. So pigments or your higher quality paints have all of the more important prime pigments. These provide color and hide, which provide easy application, greater durability, and better color retention. Binders, higher quality binders adhere to a surface better, provide enhanced film integrity and longer lasting performance. This makes them more resistant to cracking, blistering, and peeling. And then you have your liquids and additives. So liquids is simply the vehicle that allows the paint to get from the can onto the surface. Top quality paints have a greater ratio of solids, pigments, and binders to the liquids. And then the additives is the ingredient that gives the paint a specific benefit that it might not otherwise have. So it gives it the characteristic is basically what the additives are, whether it would be waterproofing, mold and algae, resistance or mold. So any of that, that's what the additive does. Okay, so then you have your different binder types. You have your alkyds, your latex, your epoxies, urethanes, and your hybrids. So your alkyds are your oldest, some of your oldest technology that's out there. It's commonly referred to as oil-based or solvent-based, and alkyds are synthetic polymers derived from petroleum or vegetable oils. So it gives you a smooth, uniform finish, good flow and leveling, surface tolerance, strong adhesion, provides a hard, non-porous finish, and it's humidity resistant. The problems with alkyds is it has a very strong odor. Some are very slow drying, so we don't like to use them by the beach or by where their water is. They will yellow and become brittle over time. And solvents, again, have a high VOC, and VOC is the volatile organic compounds. And they tend to retain and hold mildew more easily.
Alrighty, so latex. These are our general water-based paints that we see every day and we use in our houses. Latex paints are flexible. They have excellent color and gloss retention. They're moisture resistant. They're way lower in VOCs than solvent-based coatings, and they even do come in a 0 VOC option. The downsides of using a latex paint is it's not suitable for high performance applications, and the substrate needs to be very clean in order to apply the paint. And our acrylics are basically our higher end latex paints. They're more durable than a regular latex, but they are still water-based. So they have excellent color and gloss retention. They dry very quickly. They're flexible. You can use them both inside and outside. They have excellent adhesion once they're fully cured. They have low odor and lower VOCs. And then the downside is that the surface also needs to be very clean in order for an acrylic to be applied.
Okay, and then you have your epoxies. So epoxies, you're not going to see that a lot in the multifamily community. Epoxies are very chemical resistant, corrosion and moisture resistant. As you can see in the pictures to the left of the screen, though, epoxies are a two-part product. They're solvent-based. They have a lot of strong odor. It's not UV stable. They can become very sticky and tacky if they're not applied the right way per the data page. And they can chalk and fade when exposed to the exterior and sun. So this in the property management industry would most likely go into a gym, possibly a daycare center, somewhere where you need a lot of durability on the floor, but nothing where UV or sun is going to be exposed to it.
Alrighty, and then we have our urethanes. I would say we don't also see these a ton in the HOA and property world. A lot of times we can see them though on like if the property has a playground or some sort of kids jungle gym. So urethanes are flexible. They do have excellent color and gloss retention. So if you're going to be using a bright color, they're moisture resistant. They're lower VOCs than solvent-based coatings. Some are 0 VOC, but there's limited sheen options. So a lot of times these urethanes come in more of a glossy finish.
Okay, and then you have your hybrids. Your hybrids are some of the newer technology that's been out, I would say probably in the last 10 years. So they are made possible through advances in chemistry. They combine features of 2 or more types of coatings to help you fine-tune your specifications, satisfy a unique demand of any project. So you have your acrylic alkyds, your acrylic epoxies, your acrylic urethanes, and your urethane alkyds. All right, and then your advanced coating technologies. So as we spoke in the beginning, Advancements in chemistry have led to innovative new coatings that offer special performance features above and beyond different types of binders. These technologies allow the team to help solve different problems. So you have odor eliminating, formaldehyde reducing, antimicrobial, your cross-linking technology, and your microbicidal. Okay, so in your odor eliminating technology, sometimes you have unpleasant odors that might be causing a problem from a tenant that lives next door to you. Maybe you have a very well-used kitchen or a gym. You'd see a lot of these type of products used in that type of situation. Maybe your social rooms in your clubhouse. But it helps reduce odors from smoking, pets, cooking, any organic odors. We like to think of it like it's baking soda. So if you put a box of baking soda in your refrigerator, it eliminates a smell in there. That's what this odor eliminating technology can do. Now, it doesn't last forever, depending on how well used the area is and how many odors there are. You might have to recoat it after several years, but there is not an unlimited lifespan to it. You want to go?
Wait,
Okay, so we have formaldehyde reducing technologies as well. So a lot of, as we mentioned in the beginning, your building materials, they have formaldehydes and everything. So if you're doing a remodel in your clubhouse or your social rooms, your kitchen, carpeting, flooring, wallpaper, drywall, everything has formaldehydes in it, and it can be very harmful to especially older people, but to anybody. So there are technologies now where it can reduce that, and you can have quicker turnaround time for people entering into those rooms. All right, and then your advanced coating technologies. So your antimicrobial technology is best when you have warm, damp, and humid conditions. Bathrooms, locker rooms, saunas, spas is where we see it, even in gyms sometimes. So if you can see in the left side of your picture there, that's mold that's coming in from water intrusion that's coming somewhere behind the wall. So what we need to do first is find out where the mold's coming from, and then we need to eliminate it. There's nothing that you can do to paint over that where it won't start coming back again. So once we find where it's coming from, we remove that mold and mildew, possibly needing to even replace the drywall. Then we can paint over it with specific primer and then that top coat of the paint to help that mold from coming back again when we have those damp, warm, humid conditions. Okay, and then your cross-linking technology. This is something that came out quite a few years ago. It's one of my favorite technologies that we have. So this is if you have any kind of hallway in a major part of your property, especially in your common areas there, and you're trying to, clean the surfaces, somebody nicked the wall or something got kicked it or they hit it or something. Now you have where you can take a sponge or a rag and you can remove those stains on there without causing damage to the paint. So a lot of times in the past, you would try and scrub a surface and you'd start seeing all these little shiny spots on the wall. These technologies prevent that from happening now. So you have a longer life cycle to your coatings in your common areas. All right, and then your microbicidal paints, you saw this a lot during COVID. There were quite a few vendors that came out with this to kind of help with the different viruses that are out there. So these advanced coating technologies help prevent the spread of bacteria such as staph, MRSA on painted surfaces. So again, this has not an infinitive life cycle. If it is in a busy area, we want to recoat maybe every couple of years, but this does help kill the harmful bacteria, just like we mentioned with the baking soda sort of technology.
Alrighty, so now we're going to get into gloss and sheen. So when you go to repaint, you have the option of what sheen you're going to choose. So flat or matte creates no to very low reflectance when it's dry. The benefits of using a flat finish is it's going to hide your surface imperfections, but it's not going to be as washable as going with a satin or eggshell or a semi-gloss. So satin and eggshell has low to medium reflectance. When it's dry, that's when you're going to start to get more washability. Semi-gloss is going to be even more washable. We really only see semi-gloss in kitchens, bathrooms, maybe areas you're going to be washing more frequently. And then we also have gloss. Gloss you see more on cabinets, maybe doors and trim areas that are even more that are used more frequently. So flat is going to hide your surface imperfections. As the sheen goes up, it becomes more washable. So this slide goes into how to measure gloss and sheen. So gloss is measured at a 60-degree angle, and then sheen is measured at an 85-degree angle. This is an example that shows between flat and satin. So flat does appear darker than satin. So flat is on the left side, it's number 2, and satin is going to be number 1. So if you're going to be doing a lot of stucco repairs, maybe you're doing restoration, you're not redoing all of the stucco, but only in certain areas, you might want to consider a flat finish because it's hard to match the stucco texture to be 100%. So the flat would try to help hide those imperfections. And then we also have any environmental considerations. So if you need any of the certifications as far as Green Globes, LEED, or any of the third-party certifications, we do offer those as well within our paints. And then when it comes to budget, so when you do a whole repaint project, labor, I like to say it's more about 80% and paint is about 20% of the project. So when you're getting multiple bids, the paint generally is within, a certain range. So the labor is going to play the biggest portion of why a bid might be higher than another bid, right? So maybe some contractors have all their equipment, they have lifts, they have booms, they have scaffolding, and some have to rent it. So that's when you're going to start to see a different price in labor. So this is a breakdown of a traditional paint job versus an advanced coatings. So as you can see, the paint is about 40% higher with an advanced coating. So let's say you're going between a 8-year product or maybe a 10-year self-cleaning product. So it's generally about a 40% increase in paint, but you could see the difference between the whole entire project. It's only a $6,000 difference. So over time, you're getting an extra 2-year warranty. But it's, over the 10 years, $6,000 isn't a huge difference. So it's always something to take into account when you're doing a major repaint. So generally, people paint their properties between 5 to 10 years. Around here, I'd see it more on the 7 to 10-year side, depending on the conditions. The main things that go into playing the cost difference is the existing condition of the building and its elements. So maybe you waited, a super long time to paint. Maybe the building's on the water, the preferred method of painting. So some properties can only be rolled and brushed. Some can be sprayed. The quality of paint, the size of the building, the accessibility, and the contractor's capabilities and equipment. So that's when, the scaffolds are going to come in, if they use subcontractors, if they have all of their own equipment, or that's something that needs to be rented. So in order to help with the maintenance, the most important thing is doing visual inspections to look for any paint failures that you see and correct them as soon as you come across any signs of any damage on the building, whether it's water intrusion, if you see paint bubbling, peeling, any areas where the paint's not adhering properly. You can contact your paint manufacturer to help you assess any areas. We're always happy to come out and walk the property, see if there's any areas of concern. That way we can make proper recommendations when it comes to surface prep and making sure we're recommending the proper coatings.
All right, so we're going to move forward and talk about a specification. Having a written scope of work is so critical before engaging in any painter's pricing work for your building. This ensures that the correct remedial work is completed before any painting project commences. So we will specify the correct product to ensure the maximum warranty. We'll also makes the decisions for the committee to select a successful painting company easier as everyone has priced the same scope of work. So having a specification prior to the project starting is absolutely one of my things that I stress the most to have, because I find that if you don't have that, not everybody bids apples to apples. You have several different products, several different methods out there, and then you get confused as to why the labor prices are so far apart on there. So scope of work and a specification is critical before starting any project. So key points that you need to include in your specification. We want to make sure your contact details are correct, the property details, and then the preferred time frame as to when your project is going to commence. The surfaces that need to be included and excluded are very important. Oh, do we have stucco, concrete, cement, wood, metal? What's out there? What do we want to consider out there? Calming exterior surfaces that get overlooked, I feel. Siding, roofs, gutters, fences, gates, garages, doors, and windows. Preparation required. This is most time-consuming part of the painting process and most critical for long-lasting results. So are we going to be considering recaulking of windows or glazing them? Do we need to consider mold removal, washing, cleaning of the surface? Is there dust, grease, or scale removal apparent? Rust removal, loose or flaking paint on your railing, possibly doors, patching holes, cracks, broken plaster, and sanding. Painting materials and colors. Some colors will require more coats than others. So if you're putting a very light color over a dark color, there's going to be multiple coats possibly to be required for that. And it could be the other way. People always think that a dark color will cover in one coat. That's not true. A test should always be done prior to putting your color on the surface. So we need to know what the color schedule is. Again, what are we choosing? The product selection, what is going to be the best for your expectations at the end of the project? What gloss level are we looking to do? And then we want to provide you paint samples. So we do color renderings. We can provide wet samples so you can see what it looks like prior to the job starting. And then again, your method of application. If you live on the beach and you have a lot of wind and you're by the water, you're not going to want them up there with a spray machine, possibly getting, overspray on cars, the other buildings, and so forth. So are we going to brush, roll, or spray? And then the project services that we provide. So meet with your property manager and your board of directors to understand expectations. We want to evaluate and assess the property to identify any issues prior to the job starting. Prepare a scope of work, cater to the property's needs, and to provide complementary designer and color rendering services. So we have color renderings with a virtual link that we can take multiple pictures of your building. We also have access to a drone, which would allow us to take pictures from the sky of multiple angles of your building to help you decide your color choices. And then during the project, we conduct site visits and we do job tracking. So the job tracking is we make sure that your contractor that you have hired is buying the proper products, the proper amount of products, and then we can record that in a custodian and a paint maintenance guide at the end of the project. We also provide written reports upon request to the powers to be in the job. So if they are going to the property manager, they will get them digitally. If you want them to go to any other members, we can provide that to you, and they will also be on file with our district office. During the final walkthrough, when your project is complete, we'll provide you your site visit reports and present, as I said, the paint maintenance guide, which will list all of the colors that were used, the products that were used, and then where they were used to make it easier when your contractor's gone and you're doing maintenance after the fact. And then we provide you continued service to the property on day-to-day maintenance. You'll have your own specific rep for your area and that property to help you move forward with any maintenance needs after the project's done. Okay, the benefits of contacting the paint manufacturer. So choosing paint is not a simple decision and should include professional assistance and guidance. We could avoid possible change orders. We all hate change orders, and we'd like to make sure that everything is laid out in the beginning of the work. So scope of work, cater to project needs and owner's expectations. Perform random site visits to ensure specifications are met, followed by contractor and warranties issued. So random site visits, this is where we would come out, make sure from the beginning of the project to the end, everything is done per the specification, from pressure washing the building to setting up and applying the coating the proper way, from primer to top coat, and then making sure the punch list at the end of the job is completed prior to the warranty being given to you. Random site visits also, we will come out and test the coating. We'll bring out our mill gauge or make sure it's followed by the data page for that product that has been selected. Warranty information can be given to you as well, whether you're bylaws or your repaint cycle or 7 years, 10 years. We look at that too when we're recommending a coating. Having a scope of work also avoids inconsistent bids from contractors. So they should all be bidding the same product within a few dollar amounts, with the product that's being recommended, but it's their labor that's going to really set them apart. And again, that's what's your expectations? Will the contractor have access to their own equipment? Because if they don't, sometimes that's an extra charge that gets passed along to the property. And then we can recommend rec-build contractors that are specific to the project needs that you have.
Alrighty, so the next thing is prevent. So we want to make sure we're preventing any issues with the paint. So one of the most common and costly issues that we run into is to fix leaks. So we want to identify any leak sources and look for signs of water intrusion. So we're going to go through a couple areas that you can look for on your properties. So as you could see here, there's a crack in the wall, there's caulk needed around the windowsill, and then there's rust coming through. So if there's any cracks that are larger than 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch, then I would reach out to a structural engineer. If they're, within that range, you can use elastomeric patch to patch those areas depending on how thick the crack is. You can caulk around the window frames. Over time, it can deteriorate. And if there's rust coming through, it's important to figure out why it's coming through before just painting on top of it. Same thing here, you have a structural crack. It does look pretty large, so you want to make sure you're reaching out to an engineer to see why that's happening. Peeling and blistering paint. So a lot of times paint's going to start to peel and blister when there's water intrusion. So as the water finds a crack and makes its way through, it's going to look for any area that it can escape. And that's when you start to see the paint peeling. And right here, there's an open void on the parapet walls. So you want to make sure you're patching those areas. Voids can be found anywhere that are cracked, damaged corner beads, or in the stucco. So any area that's exposed like that needs to be patched to avoid any water intrusion coming into the building. So some key takeaways. Primers are the foundation of any paint system, playing an important role in the coating performance and longevity. Advanced coating technologies provide unique benefits that can help to reduce odors, reduce formaldehyde emissions from other building materials, and inhibit the growth of mold. On painted surfaces, resist stains, kill disease-causing bacteria on painted surfaces, and having a scope of work is the most important thing when you're starting a new project. So reach out to your paint vendor. We want to make sure you have the scope of work to help you make the paint process as easy as possible. So this is some of our complimentary services that we offer to all of our properties that we work with. So we come out, we evaluate the property, we prepare the scope of work. We offer pre-bid meeting assistance. So once the property manager or the board of directors approves the scope of work, if you have contractors you want us to send it out to, or if you need our recommended contractor list, we can invite them to a pre-bid meeting. We'll make sure all of the contractors are comfortable bidding on the project. And if anyone has any questions, we're in a group setting and the board or property manager can answer those questions. We also help with the color selection process. Like Jill said, we do renderings. We also offer in-person color consultations. Ongoing project help, so we'll be there throughout the entire project, make sure we're doing our site visits. We offer these continuing education classes all the time, so if anyone has a management company or needs additional credits, we're happy to schedule an additional CEU class. HOA color assistance. So if you have single family homes, we can prepare the approved color list and prepare the PDF and binder for the community. Quality control throughout the project. We'll make sure that everyone is following the specification that was prepared by us. We have waterproofing products as well as roofing. If any maintenance teams or boards are not sure how to use a certain product, we can come out and do a demonstration. And we also do have specialized tools for our engineering community.
Yeah, we'll come out and do some maintenance training too, which is really important. Jessica and I have started doing this past year. If you have some property managers and you have a new staff, maybe you have some new maintenance staff there, we'll come out and go over the simple like question and answer kind of things like caulking, patching, what to look for again in the building, and just walk around with them and help them assess the building and make it easier for them with making some recommendations. And there's our beautiful pictures.
Alrighty.
And then there's Mike. He's our engineering support rep. Obviously, we couldn't fit 3 people on the video today, but we have an engineering resource rep now that works with the engineering community and tries to help as well, working through them, recommending the proper product, and also offers the continuing education classes with some more of your different engineering community materials and so forth with the waterproofing, the roofing, and the restoration solutions.
Alrighty.
Any questions?
Q&A if you want to take a look at them.
Yeah. Alrighty.
We're looking through them.
Q&A box. Is it just in the chat or is there a separate Q&A?
Q&A. Okay, so it starts out, it says, "Good day and thank you. I recently painted my building. My understanding is that the paint properly applied should have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years, even if the property is by the body of the water in an accessible scale. I did use Sherwin-Williams paint. Hello to all, and Peggy and Daniel. Thank you for that. So what is your recommendation on the water?" I guess he's asking for lifespan of his paint.
So does he know what sort of paint was used and what warranty was offered to him at the time, if it was a waterproofing warranty?
Okay, well, he's not indicating, so Dominic, they'll have to have a direct conversation with you or an email. So when you get the sponsor sheet, send an email to either Jessica or Jill, and they can answer your question, okay? Next we have hello. Okay, this is for Siobhan. Let's see. Let's go on to, let's see. Can you provide a more specific information? Okay, that's about the DVPR. Okay. Please email the presentation. Okay, we're going to do that. Let's see, provide the slides, my email address. Okay. Okay, yes, you're going to be receiving the slides. Okay, here's another one. It says as a consumer, it is an extremely valuable to request the warranty paperwork when the job is complete and the paperwork on a product being applied for, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So it can be emailed to you as well as personally delivered to you on a piece of paper.
Okay. And then let's see, he's continuing. Let's see. Okay. Is there a standard procedure that will be included by the contractor or Sherwin-Williams regarding, I guess he's talking about the warranties?
Yeah, so that's something that we discuss before the project begins. So when we prepare the scope of work, we'll discuss the warranty, what type of length you're looking for. And that's something that we discussed before. And then throughout the project, we'll do our site visits to make sure everything is up to the standards of the specification. And then at the end of the project, we would issue the warranty.
Okay. This is a pretty important one. This comes up off and on. It says, after a concrete restoration project, all of the outside walls and walkways of our concrete condo building were just recently painted with either Sherwin-Williams or competitor system. Now we are being told that the building was not waterproofed, which is leading to some confusion among the owners. What is the difference between painting and waterproofing as it applies to the type of building, and where would one be used in compared to the other?
So waterproofing is typically used after restoration if they feel that there's any issues with water possibly getting into, say, parapet walls, or you're on the beach and you have a lot of like wind and rain and salt that comes up from the water there. They can waterproof it, and a waterproof coating is much thicker than another coating. So it goes on, when we say mils, like maybe 5 to 10 mils thick, which is very thick coating as it goes on because it's flexible and it prevents the wind-driven rain and any water from getting through to your substrate on there. So especially when they're doing restoration and they're patching and they're doing all that kind of concrete work, it's essential that we look at an option to waterproof your building.
So if they're at this point and they need waterproofing, would that mean that they need to also repaint?
Yes.
Okay, so that's quite costly mistake there. Okay, so the next question is, do you recommend spraying or rolling an exterior stucco can either be used? And then it goes on to say, in addition to the services that you provide, can you recommend hiring an engineer? Do you recommend that to assist in setting specs and testing during the project? Is
Yeah,
an
so we
engineer
do.
necessary?
Yeah, so Mike Hazlett would come out, we would come out together as a team, depending on where the property is, and see what you're looking at in regards to engineering services. And then we would work together with the engineer to provide a scope of work based on the expectations and the findings of the property and or building out there. And as for brushing and rolling, it's going to be based on where the property is located. And again, what's the expectations? For instance, I'm working on a property right now and they wanted everything sprayed and back rolled. So they wanted somebody spraying the paint and then somebody following behind and back rolling it to give a more even finish on the coating. But if you live on the beach or you've got a high rise, most likely they're not going to be spraying because that could cause a lot of overspray to get on your other buildings near you, your neighbors, your cars, because of the wind factor. So they always are going to be brushing and rolling at that point.
Okay. And this gentleman is saying, I missed it possibly. How does Sherwin-Williams get involved in the concrete repairs before painting?
So the concrete repairs, that would be based on the contractor that's doing it and or the company and bringing us in to look at it with the engineer that you've hired. It should be a step process. You would have an engineer overlooking the repairs because they're the ones that deem what repairs need to be done, have the contractor hired that's doing them, and then we would come in after the fact and make sure that everything is prepped properly prior to applying the top coat.
Okay. And they want you to talk about the different paint warranties. Are there differences? Is there one specific?
So the industry standard used to be 7 years. We're finding more and more that people are leaning towards a 10 or 12-year warranty, and that's based on the product. So the higher the year of the warranty, the better the product is. So it's thicker, has more UV protection, more dirt resistant. So it's just depending, again, what you're looking for. We have a new dirt shedding technology that's out there, which I'm using on several high-end properties in West Palm, and the technology behind it is anytime water hits the surface, whether it be a light rain, a hose, drenching rain, it self-cleans the surface. So it gives you longer time in between your maintenance and your repaints. So there are warranties that can go from a 7-year all the way up to a 15-year warranty. Again, based on your expectations and what you're looking for in your building and what your bylaws possibly say, because a lot of people, they don't want a 12-year because they are required by their laws for the building to repaint every 8 years. So it might not be advantageous for them to have a longer warranty, but they have to assess, or they don't have the reserve money, then they might want those extra couple of years to put that money away to save up for a paint job and or restoration.
Okay. Okay, and here's a question. What product is available to cover concrete walkways outside that won't pull up?
So flooring, I would say, is our number one complaint.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you have someone, get us involved. We can come out and look at the surface. We want to know if it's a water-based paint on it now or a solvent-based. Depending on what's on it now, you have to continue to use the same thing. So if it's a water-based product on it now, you have to continue using water-based. And if it's solvent, you have to continue using solvent-based. You start to run into issues if, let's say, someone didn't test it and they put one on top of the other, then you're going to start to see peeling. So definitely contact us. We'd be happy to come out and take a look.
Okay. Alrighty. And here's a question. What annual maintenance is typically required by an HOA to keep the warranties in place? Is annual pressure washing enough?
It usually is. It again depends on where you're located. So, say if you're by an airport where you've got a lot of heavy traffic, not only from above, but people coming in and out of the airport, you got a lot of dust and a lot of fuel, dirt and stuff coming on the building. So, it's going to depend on where you're at. But we also see a lot more, and especially in the last couple of years, is a contractor who has been hired to do your paint work. Usually at the end, they'll offer you a maintenance program that will, they will do at the end. So when they're done, they'll offer to come back. Okay, Mr. So-and-so president or Mrs. President will come back 2 years from now. We'll walk the building, we'll inspect it, and then they can offer any necessary repairs, cleaning, anything of that sort. We see a lot of contractors offering that now at the end of a job.
And I would definitely think that's necessary because the weather conditions change.
Yep.
And we had no hurricanes. Last year we had too many hurricanes, and lifting and so on of roofs and so on also affects lifting of paint, I'm sure. So a lot of
And
factors.
also your vendor should as well, not to interrupt you, but your vendor, whether you use Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, whoever you use, your vendor should be out there. Your personalized rep should be at your property at least once a quarter, walking your building, just assessing it and looking it over. I mean, that's something the property maintenance rep should be offering you free of charge.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome news. Okay. Does Sherwin-Williams recommend treating a north wall differently as it shows weather more than others?
Again, does it get mold? Do we have a lot of sun? What's going on with that north wall that we want a different product on? Something that you'd want somebody to come out and look at.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Last question looks like here it says if a contractor is used and they were recommended by Sherwin-Williams, but Sherwin-Williams paint was used, let's see, paperwork on warranties will be given by contractor or by Sherwin-Williams?
By Sherwin-Williams and or the contractor, depends on what was agreed upon.
Okay, so that sounds like a specific question to that location. Well, that seems to be all of the questions that we have here. Did you guys want to say anything in closing before I close it out?
We just really appreciate the opportunity to speak about Sherwin-Williams. And again, we just want to stress the having a written scope of work is absolutely critical to starting any big job. It really helps in the long run from those change orders, from any confusion when you're getting your bids and pricing. So you're not having somebody charging you $50,000 and this contractor's charging you $2 million. I mean, it's really critical to have your vendor come out, assess your building, talk to the board, talk to your property managers. What's your expectation before you even start a job?
Sure. Absolutely good advice. The only other thing I was going to add to that is, and I've said it many times on many other webinars, but to those who may not have heard me say this, any contract that you get, please refer to your attorney and let them do a quick review of it and make sure that, this contract is in place in good faith and is not just one-sided. So your contract is, good for your community for the long haul, and your attorney would be the one to refer to all the terms and conditions and so on. And with that, I'm going to close it out. I'm going to mention some upcoming events and so on. I also want to say thank you before I close out to both Jill and Jessica. Thank you for taking the time to do this webinar. It's very important. It's budget season. And thank you again to everybody who attended. We have this week on Thursday from 8 to 12 a 2025, actually it's a board certification at the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center at a trade show called the Cooperators Homeowner and COA Show. So this is, if you're in South Florida near the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center, the expo will actually be from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lots of other classes are going to be going on, but I know right now board certifications are very necessary and you can go there. Now, if you missed that and you're around the state or you just can't make it in your local, on December 16th, the following week, I have a class. It's a 2025 board certification by the same attorney, Jane Boland. That will be from 12 until 2. Going into January, I have a webinar by Munyon. Munyon is offering a CEO course and also a panel discussion on maintenance, bidding, and contracts. The next class will be followed by January 15th. I have Nuvo elevators. They're going to do an update on elevator maintenance for all of you who have condos with elevators. Very interesting. Then there's a fun day planned on January 26th. The CAI Southeast chapter has a golf tournament. If anybody's into golfing, you're down here as a snowbird, you might enjoy that, joining the CAI. Go to their website to find those details. January 29th, I have a reserve advisors presentation, which is also going to be a panel discussion with an attorney and possibly a senator or House representative on that particular class. So that's January 29th from 12 to 2. And I will be sending out flyers for almost all of the items here except for the expos. In February, I'll just mention February 3rd, there is a Broward convention, another convention, HOA and Condo Association Expo at the Convention Center. More classes will be available there. I don't have the list in front of me. February 7th is a Saturday. In Palm Beach County, there is an annual trade show called the Condo Fest, and it's put on by the Palm Beach Managers Association in West Palm Beach at the Embassy Suites. A very nice local show if you're in town, also with some classes, and some of my sponsors, Hafer Company and so on, will be giving presentations. So you can find all of this information on my website. My new website is FloridaCondoVendorsForYou.com. And I'm just going to close and say thank you, everyone, one more time. Happy holidays, and I hope to see you again on another webinar coming up.